Alrighty guys, this should be working. Man, it's been some time. How's it going? Angus here from Makers Muse. Welcome back to another Makers Muse 3D printing stream. It's been like, I think Bird on a Rock was saying the last stream I did was the 100k special when I was still at the Matter Hackers meetup back in May. So it's been ages, and I haven't actually been in my place on a weekend for months. So very, very much happy to be back. Hello, Stephen Martin. Very good robot event you put on last weekend. I was very impressed. So I've just had to fix the Cetus, the original Cetus. So in this video, I was going to put the new Cetus and the old one together to compare. And of course, true to Makers Muse form, the original Cetus stopped heating up. So it seems to be working now. Yes, it's heating up. Good. But they're just ticking away in the background there. But really, I don't have anything massively planned for this stream. I just want to catch up with you guys. You can ask your questions, fill you in with what's going on, what's been going on, and what's going to be coming soon on Makers Muse. And get back into more regular streams, because I really enjoy connecting with you guys. It's really fun. And, yeah, a lot of people going, yeah, in the chat. It's really, really fun. So I'm going to pop the chat out here. Make sure this is working. Juggling printers. So behind me, you can see the Cetuses. So we've got the original Cetus prototype I got sent last year before their campaign on Kickstarter, and then we've got the latest version, which is the Cetus version 2 that they just sent, and so far working pretty well. It's printing pretty nicely. B3D Tech saying looking forward to Maker Faire in New York. Yes, so for those who haven't heard, I am going to be at the New York World Maker Faire with Lady Muse in about 3 weeks' time, I think. It's pretty soon. We're going to fly over and we're going to attend the Matter Hackers meetup probably, and the Maker Faire. And I'm not displaying anything. I'm not going to be at any sort of stall. I'm just going to be there documenting. So meeting you guys, filming cool stuff, and putting it on channel. That's pretty much the plan. I'm going to try to keep up with the chat. I don't have any helpers today, so yeah, we'll see how we go. Calvin's saying the flashing light in the Cetus is annoying. It only flashes when it's loading or unloading filament or loading G-code. It won't flash continuously. Panzer Shrek's asking, how's life in the Giga City? True story. Unfortunately, I've missed out on that for now. They did a limited amount of seats, and I was too slow because I was like, oh, I'll get it when I come back to Sydney. And then they don't have it anymore. But this is being streamed on 60 megabits per second or something. And this is 1080p. Let me know if it's bad quality, but yeah, I'm sure it's probably fine. I'm not looking to stream at 4K anytime soon. I have nothing capable of streaming in 4K. 1080p is pretty good, and this is rock solid. Oh, we got Joel, 3D maker, 3D printing nerd. Joel, so keen to see you at New York. That'd be awesome. Right, that seems to be good. So I'm just going to kick a print off on the Cetus. For those guys who haven't seen the Cetus software, it's pretty basic. I keep telling them to put G-code preview in. They haven't done it yet. It's a bit frustrating. This is for a video that I've got coming up soon. And I'm not sure any of you will be able to figure out what it is. It's not a toothbrush, even though I've called it that. So I'm just going to print that. Print at one. Yeah, it's fine. Print. So the Cetus software is super easy to use. There we go. Let that do its thing. And it's just going to send over by Wi-Fi. Okay, let's have a look through the chat. Matson McCraw, how did I come up with my logo? I came up with the logo by drawing an M and a U, and it kind of looked like that after months of trying really complicated things. So that's how it happened. Firebug players might have missed it. Which Maker Faire are you going to? I'm going to the New York World Maker Faire. Kevin asking I should make videos about combat robots. As a robot designer and builder, I find it hard to find tutorials on YouTube. If you head over to the Robo Wars Australia page, you'll find all of my old tutorials on building a combat robot. I'll be honest, they are outdated now. A lot of the stuff in it isn't relevant anymore. Like, you can't even buy cordless drills from Kmart anymore. But I will be covering how I built Vanguard on a video. This is a prototype wheel from Vanguard. So that's a 3D printed spur gear, and that's how I drove the wheels. And I'll be doing an update on how it went in the robot event. Actually, quite well. It went really quite well. Surprisingly well for 3D printed parts. Phil was saying no support. Yeah, so that's why I complain about the Up Studio software. It doesn't show G-code preview. Supports will be there. It's just it doesn't show them on the preview. I keep telling them. They don't listen. They don't listen. That slicer was Up Studio. It's only for the Up 3D printers. It doesn't work on anything else. So you're locked into their system, but it works pretty well. Let's make sure that's still good. Yeah, we're still good. Okay. What's with the tripod? The tripod was when I was filming the Raise 3D review. The printer's massive and it's kind of in the back there. So that's why the tripod's there. And the Cetus machines are really vocal. So it's like, beep, I'm ready to print. Beep, beep, beep. I'm going to start printing now. And then when they finish, they go beep again. Epic Tail Sans saying you should print a 3D printer. Yeah, maybe. Printing another printer, I'm not going to add much to the ecosystem at the moment. Currently, there's so many printers out there. We're actually turning down a lot of review requests now because they're not anything new. They're just the same basic hardware with a different skin. So to add it to print a 3D printer, I'm not going to add much with my skill set for that kind of mechatronic design to what's already out there in the open source community. If you want to print a printer, then check out Tech2C's Hypercube. That's awesome. He's another awesome Aussie 3D printing YouTuber. I might make one of those if I had time, but I'm not going to add one myself. Oh, and Mystique, thanks for the $5. Hi, I just purchased a Creality CR10, upgraded from a FlashForge Creator Pro. Do you think it's a good upgrade? What's my opinion on Simplify 3D? So, the FlashForge Creator Pro is old, but still pretty rock solid. If you got both printers, you now have the option to print smaller things and also the bigger PLA prints on the CR10. So both are decent. CR10 could do with some cooling upgrades from what I understand. And Simplify 3D is extremely powerful if you want to do really hardcore things like multi-processors. And they've done some adding stuff to their version 4, which is now out. But if you're not doing multi-processors, you don't need that sort of level of detail, so you can easily use free software like Slicer, which I use quite a lot on my Prusa and other printers. And of course, I featured Idea Maker recently, which does customizable supports if you need that also for free. Oh, that's right. Maddie in the chat has mentioned something important where you can actually send custom G-code to the Cetuses now if you like, in which case it won't beep. Dave's asking where am I in Australia? I'm near Sydney. That's close enough. Everyone's saying Pickle Rick. No. The microphone I'm using is a AKG Perception 120. It's a condenser mic which needs phantom power, and that's why the quality is really nice. I really like this microphone. I'm a bit of an audiophile, and it's running through a Steinberg UR22 external digital audio interface controller, DAC, whatever you call them. Sorry, trying to keep up with the chat. It's always going crazy as always. Police printer in the background. Yeah, it is. If that's annoying people, I can probably... No, I can't. Sorry. Just enjoy it. It's going to just be doing its thing. What's the orange thing in the background? Well, that's a jacket. And if you saw the Raise review, that's a massive voxelized cone, which is humongous. And I got Ronan from the UK, which is awesome. Jimmy asking, how do I print flexible filaments on an Up Mini 2? Sorry to break it to you, but you pretty much can't. Depending on how flexible they are, the Up Mini 2 is not designed for them. It's a fixed distance extruder. It doesn't have a spring, doesn't have allocation for controlling the path of that flexible filament. You can do semi-flex, no problem. You can do nylons. You can do semi-flex like Flex 45 from Inksmith. I think that's the company. But you can't do Ninja Flex. Just don't try, it'll jam up. It's not designed for it. It's designed for ABS, polycarbonates, high temperature rigid materials. That's what it does well. I wouldn't try to make it do other things. Ian asking if I can play some music for you guys. No, I don't think it's actually capable because I have to fire up Cubase and I don't think it works through OBS. But if you want to listen to my songs, you can go onto SoundCloud and just search Angus Devison. I uploaded something the other night, which was pretty good. It's okay. I just do music for fun. I don't do it for any sort of commercial gain. Brian... Oh, so yeah, I did a Patreon... $20 Patreon private hangout just earlier, and Brian's asking what the mini computer was in the Patreon chat. Head over to Dustin's channel and ask him. I can't exactly remember what it was off the top of my head. I don't know if he said he wasn't going to review it, but it's like a tiny little aluminium tablet that Gearbest do sell. I can't remember the name. Sorry. A lot of people asking about me to recommend printers or not. If I reviewed it, go check the review out. If I haven't reviewed it, then I haven't used it. Therefore, I cannot really recommend it. The only machine I would recommend that I haven't used is a CR10 because there's so much good feedback on it. But again, you're buying a Chinese printer that may have quality control issues. And yes, that's that. Jimmy, yes, sorry, elastic's completely out of the question with the Up Mini 2. If you want to print flexibles, you do need a fully supported extruder design for it, like the Flexion or one of the open source designs on Thingiverse to do so. Josh, can you expect more design tutorials? Yes, you absolutely can. I will be doing more design tutorials. Sneak peek for you guys, this is a project that's coming up soon. It's a type of lock, an ancient lock actually. It's a Syrian, and it's a design I've done. There will be a tutorial on how I drew that. But that's coming up in a week or two. Eric asking, do I have a Kinect sensor, really cheap 3D scanning? Yeah, I did have one at one stage, and the quality is absolutely terrible off it. You're better off with photogrammetry these days. Absolutely. Unless you really need to use the point cloud. The original Kinect just wasn't that great. The newer one's apparently pretty good. I haven't experimented much with it. Randall asking about the SparkMaker SLA. They did offer, but it looks pretty cheap. I'm not a big fan on cheap resin printers, so I did say no. And Matt's asking, do I make the music for my videos? Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, it avoids copyright strike issues. Happy Extruder asking to bring the stickers to Maker Fair New York. Yes, I will be bringing stickers and Maker coins and absolutely everything I can. No doubt about that. Get Lady Muse a kitten. Yes, I would love a kitten, except we can't because we're renting. We are looking for a bigger premises, actually. I've completely run out of room, as you can probably tell. And we need a workshop for more messy things, because I want to expand Makers Muse into CNC and more hardcore manufacturing. In the robot video I'll be doing, I did go to a friend's workshop to manufacture CNC parts and welded and stuff like that, and I really enjoy that sort of stuff. I just can't do it here, and that's something I would like to push into the channel, because Makers Muse was never meant to just be... it was never meant to just be 3D printing. It's meant to be, you know, empowering creativity through processes like CNC and 3D printing, not just 3D printing. And Alex, yeah, I didn't quite drive past you. We did a cannonball run all the way from Sydney to Brisbane. We couldn't really stop because we would have missed the event, and then had to come back before my mate went back to work. So unfortunately, yeah, there was no time for a meeting. It was pretty nuts. I would have added too much time, unfortunately. Mason's asking, have I used the Olsen Ruby nozzle? I do have one, and I will be testing it with carbon fiber nylon from Rigid Ink, which will be cool. I did mention it in my vlog recently. Reed, no, I don't have osteoporosis. What the heck? That's a really strange question. Let me just check on these prints. So, I've got the Cetus version 2 printing away in a recycled PLA, which is from Form Futura. Really nice, actually, recycled black PLA. The early Cetuses had issues with jamming on some brands, but so far that's working well. And the original prototype Cetus I've got is printing on the Prototypum pad, which is a flexible magnetic build plate in their own brand of sort of sparkly red, and it seems to be working pretty well as well. Excellent. I wouldn't have expected anything less out of the Cetuses, to be honest. They're probably still my best pick for cheap printers. Haha. Masso CNC controllers. I know who you guys are. That's awesome. We should actually chat about stuff. I've been so busy. But yeah, CNC is definitely something that I want to push Makers Muse into. So far, the only CNC I have is this, which I don't think your controller would be suitable for. But this is a really cheap CNC engraver from GearBest. Banggood, not GearBest. And I will be testing it out. I'm going to try to use Fusion and do some cam work in Fusion for it. And maybe do some wax seals or something like that, but really it's pretty gutless. But it's pretty cheap too, and it's good. It's a good introduction into CNC. Maybe I could do some wax machining. Oh, Ian, thanks so much for the support. Support you on Patreon too, but thanks so much for sharing your knowledge. Very much appreciate it. Have a drink on me. I'm actually not drinking energy drinks today. I'm drinking this Oak Plus protein milk, which is a meal substitute because I didn't have time to eat anything. But yeah, thanks. I'll definitely put it forward to something. Oh, Eddie, what are you doing? Thank you so much. Man, Eddie is such a nice guy. Constant Patreon support, doing some really cool things. He's a dad. And also currently experiencing hurricane weather. So I hope you're alright, man. I hope your family's safe. Thank you so much. Yeah, Michael's saying that the motor isn't big enough on that CNC. It's just a 540 DC motor, even though it's all fancy and blue. It probably could be done with a brushless spindle, something like that. Something small. It'd be a good project to do, but again, is it really worth putting that much effort into such a tiny kit? Probably not. China do sell a 6040 CNC kit mill machine for about $3,000. That looks really good for the price. I might buy one of those if I have the space to put it. That would be pretty cool. JT Dragonflash, thanks for the $10. Would you and Joel be up for a channel shared build of a working canine robot from Doctor Who in 2018 to build with your public? It does sound cool. I do like K9. I have seen some really good replicas. It's something I just don't have the time for at all. I'm struggling to do content that I've promised on Makers Muse alone, let alone external projects. It's not really something I'm too active in either, the prop making industry. There's a lot of people that do really cool replicas, but it's not really something I do, unfortunately. Matthew, welcome from South Africa. Good morning. Lady Muse is from South Africa originally, if you hadn't picked up from her accent. Just trying to keep up on chat, guys. If I miss your comment, I'm sorry. It's just how it is. There's too many people. I'm just one Angus. Oh yeah. Just to give you a heads up on the Cetus version 2 as well. That's the cat that's printed at 150 microns. This is the Geyer Anderson cat. It's pretty darn good. I mean, out of the box printing like that, you can't ask for much better. It's black, so it's hard to see the quality, but it's pretty good. It's pretty decent. Alrighty. Jordan's asking, how expensive do you think it would be to build a printer that could print a vehicle body 200 inches in length? It's way too expensive. Yeah, even if you could print something that big, there has been people printing like a Monarch chassis using a massive FDM style extruder, and even then, I mean, what are you gonna? You still have to machine it back afterwards to fit stuff into it. Plastic's not going to replace metal. It's not rigid enough. Yeah, so that might be a tricky project. Famous fisherman, where am I from? I am from Australia. I am from Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. And as far as I can tell, most of my family has been from Australia, going back quite far. So yeah, I'm probably a convict. Panzer Shrek, oh dude, thank you so much for the 20 bucks. It is very good to be back. I am so keen to bring Makers Muse back in line with what it always should have been, always will be, is empowering you, your creativity, and doing things like just to show you what I'm planning. Like this is for a project. This is Form Futura's like terracotta PLA. It's pretty cool. It's the whole roll. Printed on the raise. I ran out, so I went to a gold filament at the top. It's originally a 3D scan of a Celtic wellhead. I think it's Celtic. Looks Celtic. Which I then mesh mixed to turn into a pot. So the video is going to be on turning anything into pots, basically, using Mesh Mixer, because that's what I like doing. I like modifying files and adapting things, rather than just doing reviews, because, look, everyone can do reviews now, and it's not really something I can add much value to. My value, I feel, is in the 3D modeling and projects, and then reviews of things that are really quite unique, rather than just another CR10 review, if that makes sense. Speaking of reviews, drles1206 is asking best starter budget 3D printer. I have a whole video on 3D printers under 350 bucks that don't suck. It's still relevant. Go check it out, and you'll find a machine there that you like. The Cetus is one of them. SS Dashy is asking, print on a shirt using flexible filament, you'll be amazed. I did experiment with that a while ago. Preston over at Press Reset did about a year ago, did some experiments with that. I saw someone else, I think it was RC Lifeon, did a video on flexible filament on shirts recently. It is pretty cool. It's just not something I'm really into. I don't like stuff on my shirts. It's like, I don't like a watch. I don't like having thick things on my shirts. Thick printing and stuff. So it's not something I'd do personally. But yeah, if you think it's cool, then go for it. I like seeing people adapt technology for different reasons. Kevin's asking for the Cetus. Have you tried filaments like Ninja Flex and carbon fiber? They will destroy it instantly. Ninja Flex is too flexible for it, probably. There's a gap between the extruder gear and the nozzle, so that's probably going to flex out, most likely. Carbon fiber will rip straight through the brass nozzle and destroy it too. It's not designed for it. It's a PLA printer. I'm sure you can print some other things, kind of, but you're not buying it to do anything but PLA, in my opinion. Cryote1 is asking, how do I come up with ideas for prints? I don't know. I just think of random stuff and decide to try it out. I've always been like that. I like experimenting. I'm not afraid of failure. A lot of things I do on the channel you don't see because they're just epic failures, or sometimes they're so terrible that I actually do show them because it's enjoyable in some way, or I do learn something. If I do something that doesn't work out, I still learn things every time. So yeah, just gonna keep making random stuff. Reed's asking, is there anywhere in Sydney we can go to recycle PLA prints? Absolutely not. Sydney, Australia in general, is completely behind the times in recycling plastics. If it's unmarked, it's pretty much going to landfill. So if you want to recycle your PLA, you're pretty much on your own. I would do something like what Devon did over at Make Anything. I would chop it up and then melt it down into something artistic, because you can't re-extrude it. I don't care. There is machines that promise to re-extrude filaments, but it's filament extrusion. Filament rolls are actually a drawing process, not an extrusion process. The accuracy is just not there in extrusion. So yeah, sadly not. Australia's so far behind the times. Oh, Calvin, thanks so much. Were you able to do anything with the spinner yet? The one from you, I actually tried to find a bearing for it that would fit, and I didn't have any in my box, but I was looking the other day for one. And also, you snacky on the proper peanut butter jellies from down the street. I am so jealous. Those peanut butter jelly sandwiches were the best. They were so good. Kevin on SoundCloud, just search Angus Devison SoundCloud on Google, or Mecanum with a K, Mekanum. That's my band name, whatever you want to call it. That will find it. Hey Mark, how you going? Yeah, Danza, I don't know how this channel's at 176,000 subscribers now. I do appreciate every one of you for joining and subscribing, though. It's really cool to share what I do with you. I just have no idea how it's exploded so much. I think it was that Geneva mechanism video. I think a lot of people might have found that interesting enough to get into 3D printing. Hopefully all of you guys end up with a machine, or at least access to one at some point, to empower your creativity. Ewok saying there's a way to extrude filament, or extrude prints directly from a pellet extruder. Yes, you can. They're also extremely heavy. I think the Part Daddy in America from See Me CNC, I think they have a pellet extruder, but yeah, it's massive. The machine's huge. It's very heavy. You can't do it on a normal printer. Jack's saying PETGs is like ABS and PLA combined. Kind of. A lot of people are really happy and love PETG. Personally, I think its failure mode is too violent. If you've used PETG, you know when you bend it, it shatters. So if you stress PETG to the point of failure, it blows up like really violently, and it can actually be dangerous. The shards can be really sharp. So for me and my robots, I'd rather something to fail ductily, not through a brittle failure, which PETG tends to do. So nylons are really cool. I like nylons. They can't really crack. They have to tear. But yeah, ABS is a little bit in between, and PLA, unless it's stuff like this. This is Polymakers Polymax PLA. This stuff tends to fail ductily, not brittle, which is interesting. I don't know what they've added to it. But yeah, PETG, oh, it looks beautiful though, transparent, but yeah, tends to fail very violently. Joey, thank you so much for the $10. You didn't leave a message, but thank you so much, I do appreciate it. This guy asking if I have the silver play button. I have ordered it. They send you a special code, and apparently it takes forever to turn up, so it's probably going to turn up in a year's time, knowing how long YouTube takes. Alright, double checking these prints. So we've got the black PLA is working good. Yeah, and the red PLA is working good too. Just to show you again what the quality of the Cetus is doing. Here you can see this is printed overnight in the Polymaker Polymax, and it's just awesome. I don't know. It's so dimensionally accurate. I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed, I'll be honest. Benjamin's asking, are the fumes from ABS bad for you? There was a huge study on the effects of ABS and nanoparticles and whatever they call them. CFCO, was it FOCs? Can't remember exactly, but basically it was almost inconclusive. It's a bit of hype. I'm sure it's not great for you, but in the amount we're using, like compared to an injection molding or filament manufacturing standpoint, it's pretty low. I would never recommend printing in an enclosed space. I'm doing PLA now with the door closed. I'm not too worried about PLA. ABS though, I always have the window open or door open, just to make sure there's a bit of ventilation. I wouldn't print in your bedroom either. Guys, please do not print in your bedrooms. Print with the printer in the laundry or something. Don't put it in your bedroom, because I'm not so much worried about the fumes. I'm worried about the printer failing while you're sleeping, because I don't want something to go up in flames and have someone experience an accident. That would be awful. 3D printing kid saying, I can't get any bed adhesion with the exotic Form Futura filaments. I don't know which specific ones you're talking about. If it's like a nylon, then yeah, they're tricky to stick down. I don't know what your bed surface is either. I would try using glue stick or something like Magigoo to help stick it down. Otherwise, it's really hard to judge. I don't know what you're using. Reese is asking, is there somewhere in Sydney you go to buy your 3D printing filaments, or do you order them all online? So I actually get mine from Hobby King a lot because it's the cheapest source around. And where I am in Sydney, or New South Wales, Hobby King have a warehouse in Moroya or something, which is like 3 hours down the coast. So I get it next day from their warehouse here in New South Wales. Other people in other parts of Australia, it's not as good because they have to send it back to the warehouse, the distribution in New South Wales and then other states, so it takes a while and it's more expensive. But me personally, Hobby King's my cheapest source. A lot of people like Blueprinted or Kingdom 3D for eSun in Australia. But yeah, I buy from Hobby King tons. I mean, I don't want to know how much money I've spent with Hobby King over the last 5 years because it's probably insane with the robot parts and all that. Randall's asking, I'm printing now with no enclosure. What's my current room temp? We're looking at around sort of 18 degrees, 20 degrees maybe in here. You don't need to have an enclosure for PLA. The beds aren't even heated on these printers. PLA does not need heat for the enclosure at all. Jacqueline, do I like cats? I love cats. I want a cat, but I can't have one. God, so many of you guys chatting. Sorry. LPM saying it's 5 in the morning where he is. Well, thank you for jumping in. You're more than welcome to go somewhere else. Screw you, Angus. I'll print where I want. Fair enough. I can't complain. I can't blame. The 3D scanners, will I review them? Yes, so you might be able to see behind the printers. Maybe. Where's my head? There you go. There's a scanner there and a scanner there. They're the Shining 3D's latest scanners for desktop. They will be reviewed soon. I need to test them properly. Crazy Steve, thanks for the $10. So how about some robot designs and build videos? Yes, absolutely. I was just going through before about how I'm going to do some tutorials on how I built Vanguard. Stuff like this, you know, the spur gear and all that. There will definitely be some robot stuff coming soon because I'm going to be focusing more on projects. I know I say that every time I say I'm going to do more projects, but yeah, I'm clearing out my reviews. They're almost done and I'm going to do more projects. And Cheyenne, thanks for the $10 as well, dude. Angus, your videos have saved me so much time since I started 3D printing just a month ago. Many thanks. Awesome. That's totally my intention of the channel. Save you time and money so you can print what you want instead of wasting time figuring out the technology. Because there's no fun troubleshooting things that you don't understand. I mean, I've been there. I had to learn it all through trial and error, and it can be so frustrating figuring out why a print isn't sticking when it's something like you're using the wrong temperature or something, and it's really hard to pick up. So I'm glad that helps out. And we got Unlikely Creators in the house. Dude, thank you for jumping in and being a mod. So we do have a mod now. Awesome. Feel free to mod away. Francis, yes, the Cetus there is the Mark II. That's the latest Cetus, which I'm comparing against my prototype version. I am the best. Will you do a video showing all your printers that you have that are working? That video would be hours long. I have quite a few. I do want to... The grand scheme of things is I want to open up a makerspace where I am. But the logistics of it are just insane currently. But yeah, all these printers I have that I don't use, I want to put into a space where other people can use them. But I don't want to be responsible for when they break and have to fix them. I don't have time to fix them. So I'm trying to figure out how to make that profitable enough so it can self-sustain. Maybe one day. If you're interested in doing that sort of thing, let me know. It might need seed capital to work. It's very difficult. Reed is asking, is Hobby King PLA better than generic Chinese PLA? Hobby King PLA is generic Chinese PLA. It's the same stuff. It's going to be as good quality as whatever it is. Their ABS is cheap and pretty nasty, but decent-ish. I mean, that's what this pink is. $7 a kilo Australian. It's, yeah, that's ridiculous cheap. And I printed on the Up Mini 2 all day long. NLTMW, any idea how to fix a wobble on the bed of a Prusa Mark II? It's like a small rotation around the Z-axis. That sounds like your Z lead screws are bent. To me, if that's what you're getting, if it looks like a ridge every few layers, you're probably getting an eccentric rotation on your lead screws. The bed shouldn't wobble. If you can grab the bed and move it and it doesn't move, then it's not wobbling. If it does move and you've got the old version with the zip ties, it's a bit dodgy. You probably tighten it up. Sounds to me like you got bent lead screws. Don, I'm not answering that question. You know the answer. My bank details are below. Outdoor. Any experience with Hobby King's polycarb or nylon? I do have a roll of the nylon. I have heard through a second source that the polycarb from Hobby King isn't as good as the PC Max from Polymaker, but I haven't tested it. I do have their nylon though, and I'm keen to test it. But as with all nylons, it absorbs moisture so fast. So fast. It's ridiculous. Yeah, and Mako, we'll have to chat. Sorry for not responding to your text either. It's been nuts. I'll get to that. Someone's asking, I mentioned a makerspace. What is that? A makerspace is a shared location with tools where you can create things. Think of a gym membership, but instead of there being exercise equipment, there's machines that you can create things with. So it would be a location where there's 3D printers and drill presses and tools and such that you share to make projects. People have been doing it all around the world. They're usually called hackerspaces. I think hackerspaces is not the right term. Makerspace is more what I want to use. But making them profitable is tricky because you need insurances. You need to keep the machines running. You need to make sure stuff's not stolen. You need to maintain memberships and regulate memberships. You need to make sure people know what they're doing. It gets very complicated, and it's a nice idea, but no one's really made it sustainable. It's usually run on government grants. So yes, one day, maybe. Duo's asking, how's the Raise? Raise is good. Print stuff like that, no problem. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, go check the review for my full details on that machine. And someone was asking, how fast do I go through a whole roll of filament? Well, that is a whole roll of filament on the Raise. So that took 25 hours. So you can go through a whole roll in 25 hours pretty easy. Paul Anthony is saying apparently Tech Shop is opening in Sydney. That's news to me. I'll check it out. They were meant to be opening one in Adelaide years ago. I don't know what happened there, but I'll have to find it out. And Samuel saying, just realized you're the guy from those old Robo Wars Australia videos. Yes, that's me. I did those because I was running an event. I actually crowdfunded a robot event back in 2012. I actually did a few, but that was the biggest one. And we actually crowdfunded the money to bring the arena down from Queensland and fight. And yeah, I did a tutorial series for that, so people who had no idea could actually learn how to build combat robots. It's really good, really fun. Shiv was asking to talk to the guys who run this Connected Community Hackerspace in Melbourne. I actually might have to visit them. If they're running a successful makerspace in Melbourne, I might have to visit to see how they're doing it. See if it's propped up by grants or membership money. Riley's asking, how's the Creality CR10? I don't have one, so that's how good it is. I've never gotten one. I don't want one. Again, to stress this, guys, there's so many people with them on the internet. Go look at what they think. I'm not taking it on board because I'm not going to add anything to the value of it. Unthalon, thank you so much for the $20. I just saw that. Dude, that's awesome. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Famous Fisherman, what's the best way to stop ABS from warping off the build plate? To stop ABS warping, you need high ambient temperature. You need to enclose the whole thing. You can't rely on a build plate to be hot to make sure the thing doesn't warp, because it'll stick and then it'll just delaminate further up. I just had a long chat in our Patreon stream before, the $20 Patreon private hangout. Basically, you need to enclose the whole thing and heat it up. I used to put machines in a cardboard box, usually the box it came with, and then put a hot air gun into the box to heat it up and then put the top on. Now, that's not perfect. You can overheat electronics doing that. But yeah, you need high ambient temperature for ABS. Simple as that. Otherwise, don't bother. Ted's asking any update on the Obsidian. Mine's gone. It got picked up by someone weeks ago, and I'm never going to see it again. And I don't have a production unit planned. Yep, that's out there. I did my bit. I reviewed the pre-production model. It was okay. I had to fix a lot of things, and they've got a lot of work ahead of them because they raised tons of money. Coltrane's asking, do I like Fusion 360 better than Inventor? Well, Inventor's not free. Fusion 360 is. Therefore, I like Fusion 360. If you're a student, you can get Inventor for free. But as soon as you stop being a student, then it's like thousands of dollars. So, yes, Fusion 360 is the way for me. Because it's free. To be fair, Autodesk would probably give me a license for Inventor, but I'd rather make things accessible. So, I'd rather work with Fusion 360. Blobberbee's asking about cleaning Aquanet, which is the hairspray off a printer, the print that was printed on glass. I don't personally recommend, this may be against what some people want, what some people think, but I don't personally recommend hairspray on printers, mostly because of the overspray. Think about it, you're spraying glue, basically it is glue, onto the print bed, which then wicks up everywhere into your lead screws, your belts, your electronics. So I don't recommend that in the slightest. I recommend getting a glue stick and just applying it to the bed. And the glue stick will wash away with water. No problem. Brushless Boy, hey from Byron Bay. We drove through Byron Bay, actually. We stopped there for dinner on Friday night at like 10 p.m. before getting to the robot event last weekend. So, yeah, I was just there. Very briefly. Caleb's asking, am I printing parts of my locks? Yes, I am printing parts of this, the Assyrian pin lock. Some of you guys may or may not know what that is. Also, I don't know if you can see this. I just did my review on the rays, but look at that ringing. It's hard to see on this camera, but there's quite serious ringing with the text. I haven't encountered that before, but yeah, I might have to take a photo of that and ask Rays what's going on there. Maybe I was printing too fast? Thanks for joining, guys, by the way, for this just random stuff. I want to do more streams properly with more schedule, but I just haven't done one for so long. I had some time, so I do appreciate you jumping in and, yeah, chatting a bit. Doesn't Fusion cost money? Xavier's asking, no, you can use it for free as a student or as a startup. That's the distinction. If you're not earning more than 100k US, then you can use it for free, although I don't know how they'd find out. I'm certainly not, so I can still use it for free. But if you're a student, you can use it for free as well. Freddie Play asking where I live in Australia. Again, Sydney. Sydney's close enough. And first 3D printer, Makers Muse, have you used the TiVo Tarantula? Yes, I reviewed one and then I didn't like it and I've taken the review down because I don't recommend them, basically. It's just how I feel about them. Other people may feel different. It's just a machine I can't recommend because newcomers get burnt on them. I recommend other machines at that price point, like the Tronxy X1, which is not perfect, but it's cheap and it has a power adapter, so it's nice and safe. Yeah, 3D Printing Llama is saying the ringing might be too fast. I think it's actually too high jerk, though. The acceleration might be too high, because it wasn't printing too fast. Yeah, guys, look, TiVo, if you enjoy your TiVo printer, that's totally fine. I just don't recommend them for newcomers. It's just my opinion. I mean, everyone has opinions. That's fine. It's my opinion. Daniel's asking about sanding 3D prints. That's actually pretty important. Sanding prints can be hard because with PLA, for example, it's got a very low plastic glass transition temperature. So it melts very easily. So if you sand it, especially if you're trying to use a power sander, don't use power sanders on 3D prints. It'll just melt it. I recommend getting like an ice cream tub with water and sandpaper in the water. It keeps it cool, takes the particulate away, and that will sand fine. Don't try to use any power sanding methods because it will just melt it. Rory from Vegas. I do like Brisbane. It's a nice city. I did enjoy going there for the robots. Famous Fisherman saying, can I build an acrylic enclosure for my ANET A8 for better heat? Yes, but again, you might start overheating components. The ANET A8 is made from acrylic, which could start to deform at those temperatures, maybe. So that's a warning. Yeah, I wouldn't really recommend it on a printer like that. Big saying, coat PLA with super glue and sand it. That's actually a really good idea because the super glue is going to set rock hard and then you can sand it. I used to do that with epoxy actually. Same idea. You coat it with an epoxy resin, let that set, and then sand that back. Or something called spray bog or spray putty. It's used in the automotive industry. And you spray that on. It's a high fill paint, basically. You can get putty and primer, whatever. And then that dries and you can sand that back. It gets into the cracks. And then you can sand it back. And Teresa's saying use fingernail buffers for sanding prints. That's actually a really good tip too. You can order these little fingernail things that are like foam with sandpaper on both sides, or like hard cardboard and sandpaper on both sides for like 100 of them for a few bucks off from China. And they make really good sanding tools for any model making actually. That's a really good tip. ICBM Gaming saying, hey Angus, I'm 14 and recently saved enough money to buy my first printer. I'm on a price Maker Select V2. You've helped me so much. Dude, that's awesome. I wish I had a 3D printer when I was 14. That's so cool. That's a good printer too. The Wanhao i3, my Cocoon Create's still being used. You can modify it, you can upgrade it, you can repair it. One thing to watch out for, don't try to print ABS on it. I would not recommend it, dude, because the bed gets very hot and the power connections don't really handle it. If you want it to last a long time, just print PLA or maybe PETG and you'll have a great experience. ABS is too painful on those machines, to start with at least. You don't really need the extra strength for most things. Unless you're building combat robots, in which case I do. Oh yeah, Caleb's saying they're called emery boards. The fingernail sanding sticks are emery boards. Yeah, really handy. Really, really useful. Corey is saying he's having warping issues with PLA. I've never experienced... Oh, no, I have. Sorry. I have experienced warping with PLA, and that was on the Be The First Plus 3D printer, which was an acrylic plate with blue tape, and I think the PLA was coming out too hot. So you might be printing it too hot, or you might be printing onto blue tape, which just came away from the build surface. I wouldn't recommend that. I'd recommend PLA on a glass sheet with just super glue, not super glue, glue stick. If you're just starting out, you don't have a heated bed, that will work. Heated bed does go a long way to stopping PLA from warping though. It does warp, it's just very rare. Run really saying, are those oaks good? I see them in Coles and ignore them. They're really good. Yeah, I like them. I recommend them. Got a lot of protein in them, so it's good for a meal replacement. I saw someone just mention Snappy. I actually met the creator of that printer when I was at the Bay Area Maker Fair. Super cool concept. Completely 3D printed 3D printer. Really nice idea. He had Snappy 2, which is the latest one. It's actually in the Guinness Book of Records for the most 3D printed 3D printer, which I suppose is the category. Hexanode, will they ever do a MakerBot review? I don't think MakerBot even knows of my existence, or if they do, they're not going to send me one. So probably not. There'd have to be a heck of a lot better than what I experienced with my 5th gen to be a good review. My 5th gen was terrible, the first version of it. We actually got a refund for it, but that was like ages ago. I think they've improved them now, but they're just so expensive. It's really hard to justify to the community why a PLA printer with no heated bed cost $5,000 Australian. It's a hard call. I don't know how you can actually justify it. That's the raise basically. Ross is asking, do I know what the name of the company that prints human bones on organs? No, sorry, I don't. I should have read that before reading it out. I have no idea. I can't keep up with that weird organic printing stuff. People are asking about the mosaic palette. I don't have one to review, and to be honest, I'm not into color printing. I'm not into full color printing. It's not my thing. I think it's a bit of a waste of material. Again, just my opinion, and I like to print practical things. I'd rather paint something than try to print it in multiple colors. But yeah, that's just what I think. I think it's a pretty expensive add-on to just print multiple color 3D prints. And it's not something I'm really into at all. Thomas is asking, what have I done with dual extrusion? You noticed I did ignore it on the Raise N2 Plus. I ignored it on the Raise N2 Plus because dual nozzle multi-extrusion is a waste of time in my opinion. The nozzles have to be completely level, and they also thermally expand, so you have to level them, and then they need to actually be level when they warm up. And even if they are level, the plastic can still curl up, so they can still rub into each other. So you get contamination of colors or contamination of support material and billet material. And a lot of people are saying, why didn't I show it using like a PVA soluble support material? That's because PVA absorbs moisture like the dickens. It absorbs moisture really quickly. So for a 50-hour print, which is not unreasonable in the Raise, your PVA is going to go from working to not working within that 50 hours. I just do breakaway supports. It might be traditional, but I've never had a problem with breakaway. We've come so far that it works really well. And yeah, unless I'm trying to get multi-material properties like a rubber and a rigid, which I might want to do in future, but not on the Raise, on a smaller printer. I did do a video several years ago on the FlashForge Dreamer on flexible filaments using the dual nozzle, so ABS and flexible. I might do that again on a smaller machine if I get a dual nozzle small machine, but no way would I do it on the Raise. It's a better machine for just huge normal one filament prints. Yeah, independent dual extruder is fine, but I don't have any machine that does that. So yeah, I can't test it. Yeah, anything that lifts it out of the way, like the Ultimaker 3, yes. Dual inline that don't move, no. Hexanode's asking, is the Form 2 worth the money? Go check the review out and I'd make the call for yourself. I think it's pretty valuable, but it is very expensive. Like the Dickens, is that a technical term? It is now. There's no rehearsal here. It's just all live. A lot of people asking about Simplify 3D. It is very powerful, but also check out my free 3D printing slicing shootout between Cura, Slicer, and Idea Maker, and see what you think of those. And then if you need multiple processes, then yeah, upgrade to Simplify 3D. It should be an upgrade path, not a initial purchase, because it is expensive. But if you're doing production, it can save you money. Save you quite a lot of money. General saying I should design my own 3D printer for a printing company. I'm not at all interested in producing anything hardware related. I was told from a very early age by my parents, my father specifically, if he's ever watching this, make something once and sell it to lots of people. So that's what I'm doing with video. I can share one thing with all of you guys instead of making one printer that gets sold to one person, because that's limiting. I don't want to have my impact on the world limited to a one-by-one basis. I want to be able to help as many people as possible. And I can't really do that by producing another 3D printer that is going to add to an already saturated market. I'd rather inform people about what they should look for in printers by making my buyer's guides and stuff like that. Coaster Labs, there's no rehearsal, we can tell. Oh man. Yep. Roasted. Play a keyboard solo since there's no script. I've already mentioned this. I can't actually connect it through. I might be tempted one day, but it doesn't work through Cubase. Cubase takes control of the audio, so I can't do audio and OBS through Cubase. It doesn't work. Mac is asking about merchandise. Yeah, I'm still going to do merchandise. You can still buy like shirts and stuff for Makers Muse, but that's not at all intended for like any financial reason. We don't make anything on the shirts. It's just really there for people who want to support the brand, I guess. I do need to update everything. Again, that's winning more time to make everything in line with our new logo. But yeah, merch is there just for you guys to support the channel by actually showing the brand rather than monetary gain, I guess. It's hard to explain. Okay, let's have a quick look. We've got the Cetus version 2 printing a new version of the pin lock because I wasn't happy with the ringing. And we've got the original Cetus printing the toothbrush thing that goes inside this old Assyrian lock design. Yeah, it seems to be working. Both versions work pretty well. Justin sent me an email and I never responded. I get like 50 emails a day. I'm sorry if I didn't see it. I can't respond to everyone. Absolutely can't. It's I actually do usually have a helper for the sales email to go through and help me figure stuff out because, yeah, there's just too many. Everyone asking for songs on the piano. I never touch in my streams. One day I'll figure out how to do it. One day. I can't do it in this stream. What else? Where else we got? Suntorn asking, any better ways to keep filament dry while printing? Yeah, there is. You can put them in a box with some desiccant and that sort of thing. I do have something from Polymaker. They never sent me anything to say I couldn't show it. I'm going to show it on stream. I'm going to show you guys something. This is something Polymaker is going to be selling, if they're not selling it already. It's a humidity controlled chamber for your filament. Yeah, that's right. They just stepped it up a notch. So I'll be testing that out with nylons to see if it actually stops nylon absorbing moisture. They didn't tell me I couldn't show it. Renaissance Tinkerdork. At Makers Muse, the 3D printing professor was raving about ASA filament a while back. Do I have any thoughts? I have not tested it yet. I do have a roll of ASA. I suspect it's just similar to ABS in terms of printability, but it does have way better UV resistance. So ABS does get destroyed in UV light very quickly. ASA is apparently better. They make car bumpers from it. So yeah, keen to test it. But look, there's no perfect filament. There's going to be downsides, obviously. Palaka Man is asking, so I'm looking at printing the Iron Throne from Game of Thrones. Some of the parts are very small horizontal overhangs. Do you think I'll need supports? 3 to 4 millimeters is still a bit. You'll get droop from that if it's perfectly horizontal. I think you will need support still for that. Areas where you don't need supports, I'd say like 1 millimeter overhangs, you don't need supports. But yeah, 3 to 4 you probably still would. Just don't be afraid of support material, guys. It works fine these days. Slicer, Cura's gotten better. You know, all of them, Simplify 3D, Idea Maker, all of them do good PLA supports that break away. It's not a concern anymore. You don't have to worry about it. The only things that supports sort of suck for are like nylon. You can't break supports off nylon. And PETG is a bit more violent, as I mentioned before. Don't be afraid of support material. It works fine. It doesn't take long to clean up. It's actually, for me, it's therapeutic breaking support material off. It's almost like popping bubble wrap. Alright, a couple of more questions and I'm going to call it for this one. What are my thoughts on 3D printing farm for mass production? How about a university facility? Yeah, look, most universities have 3D printing farms. I don't know a university that wouldn't have a lot of the same 3D printer set up to print lots of things for students. So yeah, it's definitely possible. I think it's been done lots all around the world. Each machine brand would be different, obviously. Some network across, the computer network. Some use their own little Wi-Fi thing. Some would just have to be SD cards. You could probably use Octoprint to run a lot of them. Yeah, it's definitely possible. People saying they hate removing support. I like removing support. I don't know why. Oh, and the polybox was in the background of the Raise review. Yes, it was. Accidentally. So, there we go. I had to do the review for the Raise in that weird location because it's so huge. I couldn't use my actual studio to film it because it's massive. Unlikely is saying I should put a video out saying I won't review the CR10. Yes, again, I'm not reviewing the CR10. Stop asking. Go look for someone else's review because there's like 20 reviews of it. It's a good machine. There's no point in me reviewing it because I can't add anything to it. There we go. Just take that snippet, make it a GIF. Not reviewing the CR10. Bickering's asking where are my windows. Just behind you is a massive sliding door, which is currently closed because I'm streaming, but it's usually wide open, and I get a good airflow through that. Yeah, so I do recommend printing with it airflow, and again, I don't recommend printing in your bedroom. Do what you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. Cool Stream's asking a good question actually. Why do so many printers use micro SD or SD cards when USB is so much more common? I think that's just because of the original ramps boards and things. SD was easier to implement than USB. I'm not a coder, so I don't know the driver implications of using USB, but you only really see it on machines that actually have a built-in operating system, like the Raise, or the Craftbot. The Craftbot uses USB as well. But yeah, you do just tend to see SD, which is interesting. I'm sure someone in the chat could actually answer that in a bit more detail. Grapefruit Bat, thanks so much for the $10. I want to say thanks for getting me into 3D printing. Want to hear your thoughts on the Wanhao i3Y carriage plate upgrade. Looks like useless weight since the bed is steel. I haven't seen that upgrade specifically. I've seen quite a few upgrades to the Wanhaos. Depends on the version. If you've got the actual Wanhao i3 version 2.1, it is a bit more flimsy. The i3 Plus is a lot more rigid for the bed, at least in my machines it was. But I haven't changed anything. I mean, I haven't changed my Cocoon Create, which is the version 2 Wanhao i3, and that's still fine. The prints still are awesome. I haven't actually changed anything to do with the bed. The Blood Guts, thanks for the $2. Am I going to try filament recycling? Again, I answer this every stream. You cannot easily recycle filament back into filament. It's actually pretty much impossible. So I'm not going to be bothering. I might do something like Devon did over on Make Anything, where he remelted PLA scraps into artistic things. Or another great idea that was mentioned earlier was to actually melt PLA scraps down into ingots to then CNC them, because you can get CNC machines cheap now. But I'm not going to be trying to make it into filament again because the accuracies just aren't there. You're going to get impurities, temperature variations, and filament diameter inaccuracies. It's just not worth it. Ian Douglas, thanks for the $2. Any preference kind of paint for painting a PLA model? I would just go with straight acrylics. So what I would do with PLA or any plastics is hit it with something called a plastic primer. If you go to an automotive repair shop, they have it for bumper repair. It basically just gives that paint something really good to stick onto. It sort of penetrates the plastic slightly and gives it a good surface so it won't peel off easily. And then I'd just go with acrylics. You don't need enamels at all. Acrylics will work fine. And then if you want to seal it, just use a clear enamel sealer or whatever you like. But yeah, just model acrylics like you get for Warhammer. They'd be really good. Yeah, so Shiv was saying the SD card can be run directly off the SPI bus. That's what I thought. So most microcontrollers can do it natively, whereas you need something much more powerful to do USB. Yeah. So yeah, Lucas is saying USB must be 12 megabits per second. We yeah, Arduinos can't do that. Yes, they certainly can't. Um, yeah, that's pretty. There you go. So they know a lot more than I do about those sort of questions. Okay, couple more questions, guys, and I will call it for this stream. Next stream, I'll be doing a actual theme, so I might be putting a machine together or something. Can I make a video with Make Anything? Oh, look, I met Devin when I was at the Matter Hackers meetup, and he is an awesome guy. I really would like to do a collaboration with him. I actually might ask him, because we're very similar. We're both sort of industrial design background. We both think crazy ideas. He's a little bit more crazy than me. Like, he has some mad ideas, which I love. Like the Springos. Like, that's just like, what? Who would think of that? So I would love to do something with Devin, absolutely. His channel is awesome. If you guys aren't subscribed to Devin or Make Anything, go subscribe, because he just does the coolest projects. So there you go, Ryan. I answered your question about collaborations with other 3D printing YouTubers. I've done stuff with Joel. I've done stuff with Dustin. I've done stuff with heaps of the guys. So yeah, absolutely will. And expect some collaboration content when I visit the New York Maker Fair as well. Oh, Bird and the Rock's out. So catch you later, dude. Catborg TV, I'm 14 and I have 5 printer farms in my bedroom thanks to you. That's awesome. One of the video ideas I have thought of, and I would be interested to know if you think this is a good idea or not, is a video on how to justify buying a 3D printer as a kid. Like, to a parent who doesn't see the value in it, I want to do a video on how you can convince them. And one of them, it would include, I guess, case studies like the fidget spinners. I know a lot of kids made bank printing fidget spinners and selling them to kids at school on their printers, enough to like buy filament and upgrade their printers. So I'm all about inspiring this creativity. I'd rather parents to buy a printer for kids rather than buy them another Xbox or PlayStation. So I think that video could be useful, because changing people's opinions and views. But yeah, let me know if you'd find it useful. I'm getting lots of yes, so alright. I will do that then. David's saying, mention not using PVA for long prints. Might be okay from a community controlled environment. Yeah, actually that Polymaker filament box would actually make PVA printing long term actually viable. I didn't think of that when I mentioned it. Yeah, so that's a good point. That if the box controls a community, then you can definitely print PVA and nylons for a lot longer. But you can't print PVA and nylon. That won't stick. You need to do PVA and PLA. Apparently, some people got PVA work to ABS with ABS. I don't think that's very easy though. Everyday fun projects. Does sanding the print bed help with bed adhesion? I have sanded print beds before to get nylon to stick because it's so slippery, but I would not recommend it because you're going to get prints to stick too well. PLA would just never come off. Yeah, so you got Shivel saying he made a ton of money during high school selling link cables for school calculators. There you go, yeah. It's that sort of entrepreneurial thinking that if you do that in school, you're going to make it in life. You're going to always see things and sort of figure out how to monetize it and offer value. I think that's a really good way to approach things. And GL's asking, is there such a thing as HDPE filament? There is. It's pretty rare because it's very slippery. Same with polypropylene filament, PP filament. You can get that too, but you need a special bed surface. And I will be probably testing some at some point. Alright, last question. Gonna go with Hayden's. Do I have an opinion on a Lulzbot Taz 6? I caught up with the Lulzbot guys when I was in the San Mateo Maker Fair. They actually sponsored part of my trip there, which was awesome. I love their approach to open source hardware design. The machine is fantastic. I haven't used one personally, but I've spent a lot of time with them there at the trade show, and I think it's a great machine. It's expensive. It's expensive because it's homegrown US, You know, it's made in the US. It's open source hardware, and like the whole ALF Objects approach is open everything. They use open source design software. They use open source text editing, and they give back. So yes, absolutely, I think it's pretty good. If you can get one, you won't be disappointed from what I've heard. And also, it fits the More extruder, which prints massive things quickly, which I really like the idea of. Cool, guys. I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for joining. This has been a blast. Considering I wasn't going to do a stream for a while, I was like, look, I've got time. And, you know, we've got over 400 people watching. So thank you for joining, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Final check on the Cetus printers. I will be reviewing the latest version 2 Cetus at some point. But it's looking like it's working fine. But the original one's working fine too. I mean, they haven't changed anything massive by the looks of it. They've just added some implementations to stop the Z dropping when you turn the power off and stuff like that. But anyway, as always, guys, if you're not subscribed to Makers Muse, please do hit that subscribe button. I'm sure you are, though. And have a fantastic, what would it be, Saturday night or Saturday morning or Sunday night. I don't know, wherever you are in the world. It's currently 1:40 Sunday PM here in Australia. And I look forward to seeing you again very shortly here on Makers Muse. Catch you later, guys. Bye.